What we're doing for the Monday mission is using this endless idea generation framework to create endless ideas for posts. I want to show you what using this framework could look like. Okay, so let's say we've got the following framework, and this is how I would use this framework to create posts. Looking at the specific audience first, I might go threads creators. And then what sort of benefit do I want to bring threads creators? Well, I'm going to use one that's pretty relevant to our community to help threads creators, to give threads creators a shortcut to 1K followers. That's literally the tagline for our community. For topic, you want to address both of these things. You want to address the for who knob, which is what the people in this podcast call it. You've got two knobs. You can turn the for who knob to change the specific audience that you want to address. And once you've adjusted that knob, then you go to the benefit. In this case, I'm talking about the benefit of a shortcut to 1K followers on Threads. I'm also on X. I'm not at 1K on X. I only started a couple months ago. But let's say I was, and I would feel like I've got credibility to discuss this. I could turn the for who knob to make the specific audience X creators. And then the specific benefit, the so that, to say, give X creators the shortcut to 1K. So that's just one instance of how you can use this for endless idea generation. Now, once we've done both of those things under the topic heading, then we want to move on to the credibility heading. And this is where we want to just pick one of the following to highlight in our post. And for me, I could just speak from personal opinion and say, look, I haven't made it to 1K, but this is just my take on what I believe it takes in terms of the shortcut to 1K. So you're acknowledging that you don't have the cold, hard proof of credibility, but you're entitled to your own opinion, and that's perfectly okay. On the other hand, I could find an expert. So let's say if I didn't want to just provide my personal opinion, I could then say, well, I don't have the credibility, but I know someone who does, and this is what they have to say about it. Kat, Aaron, and Bjorn, some of the other dudes who are in the community, they're credible on this topic. So I might ask them for their take on what the shortcut to 1K followers on Threads is. Or I could go for the third option, which is being the expert. And in this case, I'd happily go for any of those three, but we're just picking one. So I will go for being the expert. Bearing in mind that I can use that, I could be the expert in this post, and then I could write the exact same post and say that someone else is the expert. So this is where we get into repurposing. I've done the topic, I've done the credibility, now we're onto the path. Analytical, think numbers and using percentages and statistics and data. Analytical might be, I have created 10,000 posts, and out of all 10,000 posts, I've noticed that all the best ones have had this one thing in them. And if you use this one thing, this will give you the shortcut to 1K. That's analytical. Aspirational, this one's more story-based, as in maybe I started at 17 followers, now I'm at 3,800. This is what I did to get to my first 1K in a month or whatever. It took me 4 months, but you get the point. Actionable, this is where we get into, this is what I kind of like. It's like cold, hard, actionable insights, posting 3 times per day, responding to every comment within 24 hours, like stuff that is very specific. And then anthropological, I'm going to be real, I can't remember what this one is. Here we go. The description from the podcast where I've gotten this framework from is anthropological, why this happens. So it's more based in psychology. Anthropological could be referring to, in every single post I've done, I've been using emotion, authenticity, and vulnerability. These are deeply human traits that resonate with a lot of people, and that's why it's really important to use them as a shortcut to 1K followers. Now, in terms of this example, I'm going to go for actionable. And just to recap where we've gotten to so far, we've done topic, credibility, path. Now we're on to the final one, approach. This is where you choose the label for what you're going to be giving people, what approach you're taking in the post to provide the value you'll be offering. These are just some words you might use. This isn't an exhaustive list. For this, I'm going to go with one that's not in here, steps. Now, I have chosen the relevant parts of what I want to include in my post. Now, all I have to do is actually write it using this information. Cool. So what I've done here is, let's see whether I've actually addressed each of these 4 parts of the framework. Firstly, I started on Threads in July with 17 followers. Now I'm almost at 4K. Here are 5 things I did to 10x my growth, steal them to get to 1K faster. Okay, let's see how this stuff relates to this. Firstly, topic, for who? Threads creators. I don't directly say Threads creators. You don't need to explicitly call out the audience, but if you don't, you need to imply who the audience is. Based on this sentence alone, the hook, I'm implying that this is a post about Threads. So therefore, if you identify as a Threads creator, it will be relevant to you. What is the benefit? I say it clearly here. Here are 5 things I did to 10x my growth. And explicitly here, steal them to get to 1K faster. So I'm implying the benefit in 2 different ways. I 10x'd my growth, and if you use them, you can get to 1K faster. The credibility is here. I started on Threads in July with 17 followers. Now I'm almost at 4K. The credibility is that I've gone through the journey of growing through this story alone. I don't know which one's better. I think I'm too in the weeds with it at the moment to clearly decide. So I'm going to read it out to myself and see what it sounds like aloud. I want to try and show you what this post creation process looks like in a realistic way, because I don't want to convey to you that this is just inspiration hits and then I've got this perfect post. Sometimes it does happen, but most of the time it doesn't, and I just have to grind it out. This is a real representation of what it takes, and I promise that if you use these 4 sections, it will make your writing much easier, and the more you do it, the quicker it will become. I'm going to read this out loud. I started on Threads in July with 17 followers. Now I'm almost at 4K. Here are 5 things I did to 10x my growth. I posted every single day on Threads since July 10. And then we've got here the credibility. I am being the expert by saying I've done the reps and I've got some results to show for it. And then the path, 5 things I did to help me get there. It's actionable. So the path is done, and then the approach. And these are, initially I had steps, but the way I was like writing it and now reading it out, it just felt better if I put things. I'll read it out again. Like, now I'm almost at 4K. Here are 5 steps I did to help me get there. Here are 5 things. I think either works, but things just felt a bit more relevant. So the approach is something, right? Like, here are 5 insights, 5 tips, whatever. The point is that there is some approach, and that's now done. But if we go back here, by the way, this app is drafts, very useful, mainly because I put my drafts in here, but also you've got the word count and the character count as well. And on Threads, we've got a 500 character limit, and we can see here, we've got 326. So now what I would do is, like, I've addressed those 4 things, and that's great. You can just leave it there, but I like to end a post in some heavy hitting final sentence, and I think of that as a way of capturing the engagement of the reader. And it's something that has a lot of confidence and conviction behind it. It's all right. I might change it, but I'm going to wrap it up there. So that is what the process looks like, and I really encourage you to use it, because I didn't realize that I've been kind of impliedly using it without even realizing it for a long time. I put this Monday mission in the group to keep me accountable, to start using that framework now on, because I have a feeling it will work very well based on the experience that the guys who created the framework have. They started Ship 30, which helps people like us do better. I have a feeling that it will work very well, and I'm going to post it right now and then share it in the community. That's it. Peace and love. Keep it simple.